Okay, for our next tutorial, we're actually going to code up in the microbit coding environment. This code here that will allow us to press A, show the graphic 0, and also activate the pin 0, show 0. But first of all, we're going to start with on button A pressed. Okay, and to do that, we're going to go to makecode.microbit.org. This will open up in your own little environment. Make sure you've logged into your Google Drive or Gmail, and that'll automatically save all your sessions. We click on New Project, and just go ahead and call it your name. So student name skill game. Student name skill game. Obviously, student name is your name. Okay, so put your name in there, call it skill game. Next thing I'm going to do is just click on these blocks here that we don't need, click on forever, hit delete, or you can just drag it to the left and automatic deletes. All right, so if we go back to our previously prepared code, we're going to put on button A pressed, which means when we click A, it'll set the fails to 0 and show these LEDs for a second. Okay, so let's go ahead and put on button A pressed. Go to input and drag in, click on button A and drag in on button A pressed. The next thing we're going to do is create a variable. And when we make a variable, we're just going to call this fails. And this is going to count how many times we fail at the game and hit the wire. So set fails to 0. And then what we want to do is go after basic and show LEDs. It's going to draw a very basic skill test game by selecting the LEDs, and then we're going to go back and have a look what to do next. Okay, so we want to show the graphic that we created, and we want to pause it by a second. Okay, so we can go back to our game. We're going to pause it by getting a pause in the basic menu, drag it across. You need to select 1 second, which is 1,000 milliseconds, and next show the number. And what we're going to do is basically go back to our variables that we set. We're going to drag fail across, drop it in there. Okay, now we can actually go ahead, just press button A and see what happens. It should display the skill test game simple Y there for a second and show the number of fails, which should be 0. Let's hit A. And 0. And there we go. So we've got the skill test name and it should set to 0. All right, so it automatically saves as you go. So just make sure you've named it correctly. We go to makecode.org, you've named it correctly, and start coding in the environment there. Okay, for the next video, we'll code the second part, which activates a circuit, and we'll show you how to take a screenshot of the code and download the code.